is there an element of surprise that we're not seeing that's going to catch us all off guard? Why would the writers let us see it so obviously all season long that Kanan would go after Rock, knowing we knew that wouldn't happen unless... What's going on, everyone? It's Just B here, and I am extremely excited to be breaking down the season finale of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, titled Gimme the Weight. And man, this was an incredibly packed episode. I know a lot of people said they weren't too sure about it, but I don't know what they're smoking. To me, this was an incredible episode, very well put together. Gonna give you guys my thoughts in a second, but right now in here, it feels a little bit windy, but I don't think windy is quite the right word to use in this instance. Some people might say it feels a bit breezy. All right, that was cheesy, but you guys gotta let me have my soapbox for a second. That is now the second major prediction for just this season alone that I have nailed 100% accurate before most people have. And so that's what happens when you guys are rocking with the B-side. I study, I research, I analyze, and I put it out there, man. But no long talking, we're diving into the biggest parts of this episode right now. Let's go. So in the aftermath of Rock, Lou, and Unique confronting each other, both sides begin to declare open war on each other yet again, saying how not even family members are safe this go around. And I find it so interesting that when we later see Unique telling Teresa Pacelli the arrangement of how this is going, how she emphasizes that not even that part of it is sacred anymore, and how even in the game there used to be a line that you simply did not cross. Yet Rock declared her intentions to do so. So one by one, Unique's crew begins to take down the Thomas family's spots and even running a drive-by on Marvin at one point. He manages to survive it, thankfully, because a lot of people had it out for, Marv this season. It wasn't looking too good. But my thing was that was too obvious. It's always the person that you least expect to take out on this particular show that ends up being the one. And later, he and Rock get into it in a scene somewhat similar to the one that she had with Lou in season 2, where she told him that she owned him. Except this time, Marvin being the bigger brother, it doesn't take. And so later on, after he leaves, we see Lou ending up following the orders and grabs Pernessa and Jerome, who is Unique's son, and now they have a major bargaining chip over him. We then see Kanan's reaction to the confirmation of Crystal's death, and when he's talking to Juke, he's just listing on all of his mother's sins.
You can't keep getting away with it!
And it paints a clear picture of where we've been headed all along. So Jukebox tries to get him to see reason, but he's too blinded by rage, as he's simply seen and heard too much. Which, quite frankly, if we're being honest, is fair enough. When Juke asks Rock about this, even she has a hard time believing her, in lieu of the fact that the identity of the person seen fleeing the scene of the crime was revealed to her by Detective Garcia as being a black woman. There's a dramatic shift in tone with them and the energy as well in their relationship compared to what we saw in episode 401, with them being so close that probably, and I'm not sure, but I think that only she knew Rock just came from the deletion clinic when she was picking her up from there. So very interesting to see this turn of events in their relationship for sure. And Jukebox, I would say, finally succumbing to that coldness. Now, of course, the biggest revelation in this episode was the introduction of Breeze, played by Shameik Moore. But if you're a subscriber of my channel, that piece of news was no surprise to you, as I broke that in my 409 breakdown video, and also posted another video 2 days before the finale where I show how an eagle-eyed fan, and possibly someone who is an insider connected to the show, as I'm pretty convinced, also emailed me and leaked the exact details to Breeze's government name being Branford Frady, which caused quite a stir on YouTube and Reddit as well, but only further solidified my theory. Now, I want to go on record as to say, as some people have questioned me on this, and I'm not a flaky person, right? I stand on business. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not one of those guys who tries to dance around it. There was a point where I 50% thought it was going to be Unique reborn. Now, I'm not shying away from that, but I never stamped that with my official B theory stamp like I did with Snaps and Pops taking out Famous and many other things, because the evidence wasn't fully lining up for me to do so. So I just kept asking the question, creatively presenting it to you guys, like I said, so you could think about it and we discuss. When I did my full research and analysis on and off screen, as seen in my recent videos, that's when you heard me say I'm 100% standing on business, stamping my theory on this about Shameik Moore being Breeze. Meanwhile, while all of this was still being kept under very, very tight wraps by most people. But that moment where we were at the scene where Snaps and Pops were talking to Kanan and name drops Branford, I'll be real with y'all. I started cackling and laughing and cheesing all over the place because I knew I got it again. Snaps and Pops introduce him to Kanan, who we come to find out Breeze is their nephew, and they want him to have a sit down on their own to build a rapport and discuss potentially going into business with each other as well. Now, in this scene where Snaps slips up is when he told them both briefly that they'll still loop Unique in because of his Italian connect for the time being, and hinted towards getting rid of him. To which Kanan side-eyes him real quickly because that means if they're willing to do that to Unique, what would they do that to him? So I hope you guys kept an eye on that scene there real quickly because that's going to hold a lot of weight going forward. And that, my friends, is where I think we're heading. Taking down the final boss or bosses of this thing. Snaps and Pops gotta go, and Kanan will connect the dots eventually. They represent the oldest of the old guard currently in the game, and what's going to make it complicated moving forward is the fact that that's also Breeze's family. So let's see how it all turns out. Now, to me, initially Breeze came off a little goofy and flashy. But maybe this was the whole Breeze was strong, not smart component of his personality we've heard so much about. Who knows? But my question is, how do you guys feel about the introduction and the reveal of the most mysterious character in the Power universe finally appearing on our screens? Let me know in the comment section. Hold on real quickly. You guys want to see something crazy? Over 99% of you guys that watch my content are not subscribed. So I'm asking real quickly, if you don't mind, just hit the like button and hit subscribe real quickly. I'd love to keep on giving this content to you guys and lets me know that people actually are interested. Feel free to do that, man. Really appreciate it a lot. Would help me out a long way in growing my small channel. Thanks. Now back to the video. And finally, the jaw-dropper moment of this episode takes place at Rock's house, where Kanan eventually confronts her about Crystal and Famous. He holds a gun to her this whole time, and Rock tries to practically plead with Kanan to listen to reason, but at this stage, he's too far gone. The evidence against her is too strong, and even she recognizes this. This scene is very gripping because to many, it was so unexpected by the reality that you could piece together the subtleties that were leading up to it all season long, in scenes like Stefano telling Kanan he's lucky to have the mother that he does, that looks out for him, so on and so forth. And now the question that everyone had after the screen goes black and they hear the gunshot is, did he actually do it? Now, if you watch closely, Kanan holds and aims the gun, pulls back for a second, lifts his eyebrows, looks in the direction, and then goes to aim again with both hands. Now, I think what throws people off in this is the fact that Unique's crew was actually out looking for all of them right now and could have easily pulled up to her spot and come in through that same back door she was standing in front of, same way he did it earlier in the season. Kanan could have spotted them, and then that's who he fires at, right? Maybe that's wishful thinking. But a couple of things that puts all that into question is, number one, the fact that they already put out an official statement and goodbye message from Patina Miller, and it sounds so convincing that this was it for her. But here's what Sasha Penn, the showrunner of Raising Kanan, said about this on the Chronicles of Power podcast for the finale.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of like the creative component and then there's the emotional component. It's really, really hard, right? I think I've said this in other interviews, but, I went through a really painful divorce in real life over the course of this series. And it's funny, like writing a character off the show feels a lot like that, especially when it's someone like Patina, who is so meaningful to the series, but also to me as a fellow collaborator, colleague, and friend, frankly. So, but it isn't just Patina. It's Omar Epps. It's Adachike, who played Scrappy. It's every character that we have sort of, Michael Rispoli, every character that we've lost along the way. It's really, really hard on an emotional level. But also, a big part of this is like, it's almost like running an NBA franchise. This is a business, and the business that we're in is telling stories. And once the story feels like it's reached its logical conclusion, we have to move on, as painful as it is, and that's just how it is, and so it's really, really hard. I know people are really, really upset. I know they're upset, A, about the loss of this character, but B, like the way that the episode ended. Right. Hey man, this is what we do. I understand people's reactions. I empathize with them. I know everybody wants every answer right now, but that's not what we do. When we tell stories, we try to keep people on the hook. Well, hopefully you're on the hook. If you're not, I'm sorry we lost you, but hey, that's how it goes.
So to me, guys, that right there causes me to be very unsure of what happens because of how he words it. Now, of course, we know in Power, no one's dead until we see a body, right? We've already been through this before, Unique. But then would they really pull this whole switcheroo again so soon? Particularly in a scene that almost identically mirrors the one between Tariq shooting Ghost. And what makes it so convincing for me is, remember the scene with Lou and Kanan in the bar? There was so many layers to it, and you could see Lou really got through to him, but his emotions and his rage still pulled him back. Doesn't that remind you of that scene where Tommy was trying to convince Tariq that he had it all wrong about Ghost, and to come with him to intercept Dre before he tried to get him in Club Truth? Now, the only reason I mention that is because I think personally, if I were writing the show, I would have also deleted Rock as well. It carries the story forward and has the most emotional weight. After all, older Kanan did say, you're not a real killer until you've killed someone that you love. I think it was perfect to end it on a cliffhanger and keep us guessing and wanting for more. So that concludes my breakdown for this episode and this season of Raising Kanan. It was an exciting time with you guys, episode by episode, going through the whole emotions of it. I gotta say, when you put the whole season together, these guys are definitely cooking in the writer's room. So shout out to Sasha Penn, shout out to the cast and crew who've done an amazing job putting this whole thing together. Beautiful story, the best out of the Power spinoffs, almost neck and neck with the OG Power if you ask me, but that's a different conversation for another time. I want to know what you guys thought about this episode and the finale. You think it was good? You think it was bad? You feel like it could have been a little bit better? And what did you ultimately think of the reveal of Breeze? And do you think Rock is really gone? Let's talk about it in the comments, guys. Be sure to check out my live stream Raising Kanan season finale super panel with special guests Mr. Power Universe, Power is Fire, and the Chronicles of Power podcast on tomorrow, which is going to be Sunday, May 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on my YouTube channel, guys. We're going to have a great time. You guys may also come up and ask questions, and we'll all talk it out as the fans. And if you derived any value from this breakdown, listen. All I ask you guys, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Your boy truly appreciate it, man. Until next time, peace.